IndiGo is basically girl power, is something IndiGo has embraced long ago. Actually, right since its inception 18 years ago, IndiGo has put girl power as one of the central cornerstones of its culture, really. And fast forward 18 years later, is where we are today. IndiGo is proudly having 16%. Indeed, 1 out of 7 of our pilots are female pilots. It's world's largest percentage and world's highest number in terms of absolute female pilots. And you know, we take great pride in that. So cabin crew is 1. Here pilots and cockpit crew is number 2, but also in engineering and other parts of the organization, we're taking a lot of steps in that. And I think if for a country as India, this is really an important confirmation really of what we feel is important to move forward. I work in the industry for 33 years. I think it's, and the comparison I make every now and then, and you know, working in the aviation and particularly airline, I guess, it's a bit like the good old song of Hotel California, right? You can check in, but you can never check out. And with that, if you can make a contribution, which is, let's say, for the industry as a total, and not your particular airline, I think that's very rewarding. And the opportunity to meet with colleagues from different airlines, from different parts of the world, often different alliances or even your closest competitors, I think the opportunity is there because there's something higher than the day-to-day competition we're having. There's something like, how can we make the industry better? How can we make our processes more smooth? How can we together collectively work on safety? How can we deal with some of the geopolitical challenges? And I think some of these elements really are helpful. So a lot of my colleagues are volunteering, like I did, to be part of the IATA Board of Governors, to make a modest contribution to the industry and to help and support IATA in its mission. IATA's foundation remains very solid in what it has to do, but then it needs to adjust itself. And for the past year, we have been busy in kind of making some of the internal changes and adjustments, which I think are a reflection also of some of the changing world, and some parts of the world are growing, and India, I think, is a great example. Therefore, we're very excited to have this AGM in India itself. But that significance as part of the global aviation community is growing. So what we try to do is, in fact, modernize, if you wish, some of the internal mechanisms and structures, and that's an ongoing process. No one can ever do that in just one term, but I've wanted to put my best foot forward to make a sort of next step in that, and then my successor will do the next step, and will do the next step. And I think that continuity in close collaboration, obviously with the DG of IATA, I think is a very important part of what we have been trying to do for the past 12 months. What are important ingredients for aviation? Standardization, collective focus on safety, uniform payment procedures, standardization of some of the distribution capabilities. So there's a whole range of elements IATA is doing, advocacy, not forget the folks. So all these elements IATA is doing, and if you believe that those things are important for the industry, and being important for the industry, important for your airline, then in fact it's a kind of automatic transition in coming to that conclusion that you want to support that philosophy in doing it. And I think if you don't, you kind of observe it, but you also miss the opportunity to help to shape it going forward. I put my hand up and basically suggested why not having India as the 81st IATA AGM. And then if you start to substantiate that, why is it a good time? India has grown to the 3rd largest domestic aviation market in the world. It's 42 years ago. For a country of this size, with the world's largest population and soon to be the 3rd largest economy, where aviation is going actually through a phase where the US probably went back 3 decades ago, and Europe 2 decades ago, and China a decade ago. Now it's India's time. And in that reflection of now it's India's time when it comes to massive aviation growth, to have the AGM here and to have the whole global aviation community coming to India, allowing us, IndiGo, but also the airports and others, everyone, and including the Indian government, to showcase what we are doing and how India is transitioning and being on the forefront today of global aviation growth, I think that's a wonderful opportunity.